My phone buzzed at 2:47 a.m., the screen glowing like a warning in the dark. A credit alert. Nordstrom, New York City. $12,000. My heart stopped. I've never even set foot in New York. I'm Emma Daniels, 32, living in a cozy Chicago suburb with my wife, Sarah. 6 months ago, I thought I had it all. A dream marriage, a charming house, the kind of financial security my parents spent decades building for me. Now, I'm staring at my phone, the numbers burning into my eyes. This can't be right. I nudged Sarah, her soft breathing steady beside me. Hey, wake up. She stirred, mumbling, her silk pajamas, some designer brand she swore was a bargain, rustling against the sheets. What's wrong, babe? Her voice was groggy, but I caught a flicker of something. Annoyance, maybe. There's a charge on my card. 12 grand. From New York. She propped herself up, rubbing her eyes. That's gotta be fraud. You didn't buy anything, right? No, of course not. I held the phone closer, rereading the alert. It's from Nordstrom. Who spends that much at a department store? Sarah shrugged, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. Scammers, probably. They're clever these days. Call the bank in the morning. She rolled over, already half asleep. Her calmness should have soothed me, but it didn't. Something felt off, like a chord struck just out of tune. Morning came too fast. Over coffee, I tried to act normal, stirring cream into my mug while stealing glances at Sarah. She was scrolling through her phone, smiling at something. Hey, I said, keeping my tone light. Did you maybe use my card for something? Like, accidentally? She didn't look up. Nope. Why would I? You know I've got my own cards. Her fingers kept swiping, casual, dismissive. It's just weird, you know? A charge from New York. Nordstrom's not exactly a corner store. Finally, she met my eyes, her gaze steady. It's fraud. Happens all the time. Call the bank, freeze the card, done. She stood, adjusting her blazer, another steal from some boutique. I'm heading to my mom's before work. She needs help with some financial stuff. I nodded, sipping my coffee, but my mind was elsewhere. Margaret, Sarah's mom, always wore diamonds that caught the light like tiny chandeliers. Her wife, Evelyn, had a taste for vintage cars. They lived in a sprawling estate just outside Chicago, the kind of place that screamed old money. But Sarah mentioned last week they'd hit a rough patch. Investments gone south, she'd said. I couldn't shake the image of Sarah's pajamas, the ones she brought home last week, bragging about the deal. Or the gold watch she gifted me for our 6-month anniversary, insisting it was pre-owned, but basically new. My stomach twisted. I pushed the mug away, the coffee suddenly bitter. I'll call the bank now, I said, more to myself than to her. Sarah grabbed her keys, flashing a quick smile. Good idea. Don't stress, okay? It's probably just some hacker. The bank rep was polite, her voice crisp through the phone. Ms. Daniels, the charge was approved in person. The card's chip was used, and the PIN was entered correctly. My knees buckled. I gripped the kitchen counter, the granite cold under my palms. That's impossible. I have the card right here. I pulled it from my wallet, the plastic glinting under the morning light. Ma'am, our records show 2 cards active on this account. Both issued to Emma Daniels. 2 cards. My voice cracked. I only have one. The rep paused, her tone softening. The second was activated 6 months ago, right after you updated your name. 6 months ago. My wedding. When I took Sarah's last name, Daniels, because it felt like a fresh start. I hung up, my hands shaking. The kitchen felt too small, the walls closing in. I needed answers, but Sarah was gone, and the bank couldn't tell me who'd used that card. I dialed Chloe, my best friend since college. She picked up on the first ring, her voice sharp with concern. You're calling me at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. What's wrong? I swallowed hard, the words spilling out. I think Sarah's stealing from me. Silence. Then, get to my office. Now. Chloe's law firm was downtown, all sleek glass and polished wood. I grabbed my keys, my mind racing. $12,000. A second card. Sarah's calm dismissal. Margaret's diamonds. It was all starting to fit together, and I didn't like the picture it painted. Driving through Chicago's morning traffic, I thought about my dad. He'd worked double shifts at the factory to teach me about saving, about trust, about building a life. Money's only as good as the people you share it with, he'd said. I'd believed Sarah was that person. Now, I wasn't so sure. My phone buzzed again, another alert. This time, a hotel in New York. $2,000. I gripped the wheel tighter. Whatever was happening, I was going to find out. And I wasn't going to let it destroy me. The bank's words echoed in my head like a bad song on repeat. 2 cards. Activated 6 months ago. Right after I became Emma Daniels, Sarah's wife. I stood in my kitchen, the phone still warm in my hand, staring at the credit card on the counter. It looked innocent, just plastic and numbers, but it felt like a loaded gun. My pulse raced. I needed someone to make sense of this, someone who wouldn't sugarcoat the truth. That's why I called Chloe. Her office was in downtown Chicago, a sleek tower of glass and steel that screamed success. By the time I parked and took the elevator to the 22nd floor, my hands were clammy, my mind a mess of questions. Chloe was waiting, her sharp blazer and no-nonsense ponytail a stark contrast to the chaos in my chest. Sit, she said, pointing to a leather chair across from her desk. Tell me everything. I spilled it all. The 2:47 a.m. alert. $12,000 at Nordstrom in New York. The second card I never knew existed. Sarah's casual dismissal over coffee, her quick exit to her mom's. Chloe listened, her green eyes narrowing with every detail. When I mentioned the bank's claim about the pin being used in person, she leaned forward, her pen tapping the desk. In person? Emma, that's not some random hacker. That's someone who knows your pin. My stomach dropped. You think it's Sarah? I hated how small my voice sounded, how fragile. Chloe didn't answer right away. She swiveled her chair, opened her laptop, and started typing. Have you checked your credit report lately? I shook my head. Not since before the wedding. My credit's always been solid. 780, last I checked. She gave me a look, the kind that said I should have known better. Let's pull it up. All your accounts, every detail. I watched her screen, my reflection faint in the glass. The girl staring back looked scared, nothing like the confident finance manager who'd built a life from scratch. The report loaded, and my breath caught. It wasn't just one page. It was a novel. 52 pages of accounts, charges, and debts I'd never seen before. 4 new credit cards, all in my name. A personal loan for $30,000. Another for $15,000. Charges at Saks, a Miami hotel, a first-class flight to Los Angeles. All opened within 6 months. All since I said I do. This isn't right, I whispered, scrolling through the list. A jewelry store in New York, $8,000. A spa in Miami, $3,000. I didn't do any of this. Chloe's voice was quiet but firm. Emma, this is identity theft. Someone's been living large on your name, and it's not you. I gripped the armrests, my knuckles white. Sarah wouldn't, would she? The question hung in the air, heavy as lead. Chloe closed her laptop, her expression softening. You work in finance. You know how this works. Those charges, the PIN, the second card, it's not random. Someone close to you is involved. I thought about Sarah's gold watch, the one she gave me for our anniversary. The silk pajamas she swore were a steal. Her mom, Margaret, with her diamond earrings that sparkled like they cost a fortune. Because they probably did. My fortune. I need to talk to her, I said, standing up, my legs shaky. Maybe there's an explanation. Chloe grabbed my arm, her grip firm. Emma, listen to me. You're not just dealing with a misunderstanding. Those signatures on the applications? They're forged. This is fraud, and it's big. She paused, letting the words sink in. You need to decide what you're going to do. Confronting her might tip her off, make her cover her tracks. I sank back into the chair, my mind racing. Confront Sarah? Freeze the accounts? Call the police? Every option felt like a step into a minefield. I'm going to their family lunch tomorrow, I said finally. Margaret and Evelyn invited me. I'll act normal, see if I can pick up anything. Chloe raised an eyebrow but nodded. Smart, but be careful. If you're right about this, these people think they own you. Don't let them see you're onto them. I nodded, already picturing the lunch. Margaret's estate in the suburbs, all marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Evelyn's smooth talk about investments, always pushing for more. Sarah's uneasy smiles when I asked too many questions. My phone buzzed, another alert. This time, a restaurant in New York. $1,500. I showed it to Chloe, my hands trembling. They're not stopping, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She squeezed my shoulder. We'll stop them. But you need to stay sharp. Document everything. Every charge, every conversation. And don't tell Sarah you're looking into this. I nodded, but as I left her office, the weight of it all pressed down on me. Driving home, I thought about my dad, his calloused hands teaching me to balance a checkbook when I was 12. Trust is earned, Emma, he'd said. Never give it away for free. I'd trusted Sarah with everything me heart, my name, my future. Now, I wasn't sure who she was. But I was going to find out. Tomorrow, at that lunch, I'd smile, laugh, play the perfect daughter-in-law. And I'd watch. Because if Sarah, Margaret, or Evelyn thought they could bleed me dry, they were about to learn how wrong they were. The Daniels estate loomed at the end of a tree-lined street, a mansion of white stone and sprawling lawns in the Chicago suburbs. Walking up the driveway, my heels clicked on the cobblestones, each step a reminder to stay sharp. I wore my favorite navy dress, the one that made me look soft, harmless. Perfect for today. Inside, I'd smile, nod, and watch for the truth Chloe warned me to find. My phone, tucked in my purse, was set to record. I wasn't here just to eat. Margaret's voice greeted me before I reached the door. Emma, darling. She swept toward me, wrapped in a cloud of expensive perfume, her diamond earrings glinting under the chandelier. Around her neck was a silk scarf, vibrant and unmistakable. The exact pattern from the Nordstrom charge. $12,000, draped like a trophy. My stomach twisted, but I forced a smile. Margaret, that scarf is stunning. Is it new? She touched it lightly, her manicured nails catching the light. Oh, this? Evelyn picked it up in New York. You know how she loves to spoil me. Her laugh was bright, practiced. Except I'd checked their social media last night, scrolling through months of posts. They hadn't left Illinois in ages. I kept my voice warm. It's gorgeous. Really makes a statement. Emma, perfect timing. Evelyn emerged from the study, a tablet under her arm, her tailored blazer screaming money. Sarah trailed behind, her eyes darting to me, then away. Let's eat, Evelyn said, guiding us to the dining room. Crystal glasses sparkled on the table, catching the sunlight. A new maid, someone I didn't recognize, served mimosas and avocado toast. Margaret dominated the conversation, gushing about a recent spa weekend. I nodded, but my mind cataloged every word. That spa matched a $3,000 charge on my report. Evelyn set her tablet down, her smile sharp. Emma, I've got something exciting to share. A business opportunity. High returns, low risk. She tapped the screen, pulling up charts I could tell were nonsense even from across the table. We need to move fast, but I can get you in for just $40,000 to start. Sarah shifted in her seat, her fork scraping her plate. Maybe Emma wants to eat first, she said, her voice tight. I sipped my mimosa, the orange juice sharp on my tongue. 40,000's a big number. What's the deal exactly? Evelyn leaned in, her eyes gleaming. Real estate development. Offshore accounts for tax benefits. Trust me, it's a gold mine. Margaret chimed in, her scarf fluttering as she gestured. Honey, this is what families do. We build wealth together. When I married Evelyn, I handed over my trust fund. It's about loyalty. Loyalty. The word stung. I glanced at Sarah, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. My phone vibrated softly in my purse, the recording app capturing every lie. Sounds interesting, I said, keeping my tone curious. Can you send me the details? I'd love to review it with my team at work. Evelyn's smile faltered, just for a second. No need for that. I've been in this game for years. It's all above board. Sarah coughed, nearly choking on her drink. Emma's just being thorough, she said quickly, but her hands were unsteady. I pressed on, casual as I could manage. Oh, by the way, I got another weird alert. Another charge from New York. Crazy, right? The bank said it was in person. The room went quiet. Margaret's glass froze halfway to her lips. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Fraud's such a nightmare, Evelyn said, recovering fast. Criminals are so sophisticated now. Margaret waved a hand, her scarf catching the light again. Exactly. Emma, you should try the truffles. Imported from Oregon. I took the plate, watching Sarah's fingers twist around her napkin. Maybe that explains the other charges, I said lightly. Hotels, flights. All in my name. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, but her voice stayed smooth. You're handling it, I'm sure. Smart girl like you. I smiled, letting the moment pass. I'd still love those investment details. Email them to my work address, okay? My legal team will take a look. Sarah's fork clinked loudly against her plate. That's not necessary, she muttered, but Evelyn cut her off. Of course, Emma. I'll send it tonight. I stood, smoothing my dress. I should head out. Early meeting tomorrow. Margaret rose, pulling me into a hug, the silk scarf brushing my cheek. You work too hard, sweetheart. Let Sarah take care of things. Her perfume was suffocating. Oh, Sarah's got everything under control, I said, my voice sweet enough to hide the edge. In the car, I stopped the recording and called Chloe. You were right, I said, my hands gripping the wheel. The scarf was there, and Evelyn tried to push a $40,000 investment. It's all fake. Chloe's voice was steady, like a lifeline. Did you get it on tape? I tapped my purse, the phone warm against my fingers. Every word. Good girl. Come to my office tomorrow. We need to plan your next move. I started the engine, the mansion shrinking in my rearview mirror. Margaret's scarf, Evelyn's charts, Sarah's silence, they weren't just clues. They were proof. My dad used to say trust was like money. You only spend it when you know it's safe. I'd spent mine on the wrong people. But now I was ready to take it back. Lunch was over, but the real fight was just beginning. The Chicago skyline blurred past as I drove to meet Chloe and Rachel, the fraud investigator she'd brought in. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my mind was a storm. That silk scarf around Margaret's neck, Evelyn's slick investment pitch, Sarah's nervous glances, they weren't just red flags. They were a map to a crime, and I was following it straight to the truth. My phone sat in the cup holder, the recording from yesterday's lunch safely backed up. Every word they'd said was a nail in their coffin. I just needed more. The cafe was tucked on a quiet corner of Main Street, far from my usual haunts. Chloe was already there, her sharp blazer a beacon in the dim light. Next to her sat Rachel, a tall woman in a crisp suit, her eyes kind but piercing. Emma, Rachel said, her handshake firm. I've reviewed your report. This is serious. She slid a folder across the table, filled with copies of credit applications. These signatures on the loans and cards theory, not yours. I opened the folder, my breath catching. My name, Emma Daniels, was scrawled across every page, but the loops and angles were wrong. Forged, I whispered, tracing the lines. Rachel nodded. Good forgeries, but fake. That makes this criminal fraud, not just identity theft. Chloe leaned forward, her voice low. This isn't a one-off, Emma. They've been systematic. The second card, the pin, the in-person charge sits someone who knows you inside out. My chest tightened. Sarah's face flashed in my mind, her smile when we said our vows, her laugh when we danced at our reception. Could she really do this? I pushed the thought away. What do I do now? Rachel's tone was steady. Document everything. Bank statements, receipts, conversations. And don't let them know you're digging. If they panic, they might destroy evidence or, worse, empty accounts, move assets. I nodded, but the weight of it pressed down. Act normal. Smile at Sarah. Laugh with Margaret. All while they bled me dry. They're pushing me to invest $40,000, I said. Evelyn's got some offshore deal she's desperate for me to join. Rachel's eyes lit up. Perfect. Keep them talking. Record it. Forward any emails they send to this secure address. She slid a card across the table. We're building a case, Emma. You're doing great. Driving home, I felt like a spy in my own life. Sarah was at work, the house empty, so I slipped into our home office. The filing cabinet was locked, but I knew where she kept the key, taped under the desk, like she thought I'd never look. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were bank statements I'd never seen, receipts for jewelry, watches, even first-class tickets to Miami. A necklace from Saks, $10,000. A hotel suite, $5,000. All charged to accounts in my name. I snapped photos with my phone, my heart pounding. Every document was another piece of the puzzle, another betrayal. My phone buzzed, an Instagram notification from my cousin, Mia. Your in-laws are wild. Check this out. I opened the app. Margaret's latest post showed her at a Chicago gala, dripping in diamonds, Evelyn flashing a new Rolex. The caption read, "Living our best life, thanks to family." I zoomed in. Those diamonds matched a $20,000 charge from last month. My hands trembled as I screenshotted the post and emailed it to Rachel. How could they be so blatant? Parading my money like it was theirs, smiling for the camera while I scrambled to save my life. I locked the cabinet, put the key back, and sat on the floor, trying to breathe. Sarah's voice echoed in my head, her casual, "It's just fraud," from that first morning. She wasn't just lying. She was orchestrating this. That night, Sarah came home with grocery bags, her smile too bright. "Hey, you're pale. Everything okay?" I forced a weak smile, rubbing my temples. Migraine. Had to turn off my phone. She pulled me into a hug, and I fought the urge to flinch. "Poor thing. I got stuff for your favorite soup." She started unpacking, chatting about her day, but then she paused. "Oh, Mom reminded me about that investment paperwork. Did Evelyn send it?" My pulse spiked. "Not yet," I said, too quickly. "I mean, email's better for my records." She gave me a strange look but nodded. "Sure, I'll tell her." I watched her move around the kitchen, her designer scarf, a gift from Margaret, tied loosely around her neck. Another charge, probably. I excused myself, claiming I needed to lie down, and locked myself in the bathroom. My phone buzzed again. Another alert. A boutique in New York, $10,000. I forwarded it to Rachel, my fingers shaking. They weren't slowing down. If anything, they were getting bolder. I thought about my dad, how he'd sit me down with his old ledger, teaching me to track every penny. "Money tells a story, Emma," he'd said. "Follow it, and you'll find the truth." The story my money was telling wasn't about love or family. It was about greed. Sarah knocked on the door. You sure you're okay? You've been quiet." I splashed water on my face, steadying my voice. "Just tired. I'll be out soon." I looked in the mirror, my reflection sharper now, less like the naive bride I'd been 6 months ago. Tomorrow, Sarah mentioned a dinner at Margaret's, a big party to show off their renovated kitchen. I'd go. I'd record. I'd watch. Because the deeper I dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about a scarf or a card. This was about my life, and I was taking it back, one lie at a time. The Daniels estate glowed under the evening sky, its windows spilling light onto the manicured lawns of the Chicago suburbs. I stepped out of my car, smoothing the folds of my emerald dress, the one that hugged my frame just right. Looking good tonight wasn't about vanity. It was armor. My phone, hidden in my clutch, ran a recording app Chloe had shown May, a clever disguise that mimicked a normal home screen. Margaret, Evelyn, and Sarah thought they were untouchable. Tonight, I'd let them dig their own graves. The foyer was a sea of designer dresses and clinking champagne flutes, the air thick with perfume and laughter. Margaret spotted me instantly, her diamond necklace catching the chandelier's glow. "Emma, sweetheart." She air-kissed my cheeks, her silk scarf another trophy from my credit card brushing my shoulder. "Come see the new kitchen. Italian marble countertops, straight from a custom designer." I smiled, my app already recording. "Can't wait." She led me through the crowd, pointing out upgrades like a tour guide in her own palace. "This light fixture," she said, gesturing to a crystal monstrosity overhead, was a steal from a New York gallery. My jaw tightened. That steal matched a $10,000 charge on my latest statement. New York. I kept my voice light, curious. "When were you there?" Margaret winked, her laugh sharp. "Oh, honey, that trip last month. You helped make it happen, didn't you?" "Helped. Like I had a choice." I swallowed the bitterness, nodding as she rambled about the renovated kitchen. Every feature, the marble, the custom cabinets, the imported tiles lined up with charges I'd found in those hidden bank statements. My phone buzzed softly, an Instagram story from my cousin Mia. I glanced at it discreetly. Margaret, mid-party, showing off a crocodile leather handbag, captioned, "Exclusive and worth every penny." I zoomed in. The receipt peeking from the bag matched a $10,000 charge from yesterday. Sarah appeared, balancing 2 champagne glasses. "Mom, you're hogging Emma." She handed me a drink, her smile strained. "Having fun?" Her eyes searched mine, like she sensed something off. "Absolutely," I said, clinking my glass against hers. Margaret touched my arm, her nails grazing my skin. "You're a blessing to this family, Emma. Before you, we worried about keeping up appearances. Now look at us." My blood ran cold. They weren't just stealing. They were bragging. I excused myself, slipping into the bathroom to forward Mia's story to Rachel. My hands shook as I typed, the weight of their arrogance pressing down. A knock startled me. "Emma, it's Sarah." Her voice was soft, but I heard Evelyn's footsteps behind her. "Evelyn wants to talk about that investment. She says it's urgent." I opened the door, my pulse racing. Both stood there, Evelyn's tablet glowing with her fake charts. "The deal closes tomorrow," Evelyn said, her tone clipped. "We need your signature tonight." She handed me a stack of papers, her eyes locked on mine. I scanned the top page. Power of attorney. They wanted control of everything, my accounts, my assets, my life. "I don't have my checkbook," I said, stalling. Evelyn's smile didn't waver. "No need. Just sign here, and I'll handle the rest." Sarah shifted, her fingers twisting the stem of her glass. Evelyn knows what she's doing. It's a sure thing." I met her gaze, searching for the woman I'd married, but all I saw was desperation. "This is a lot of money," I said carefully. "I'd need my lawyer to review it first." Evelyn's face hardened, her voice dropping. "We're family, Emma. Don't you trust us?" Trust. The word was a blade, and she wielded it like a pro. I forced a laugh, light and airy. "Of course I do. But you know me ways," dotting my eyes. Sarah touched my arm, her hand cold. "Just sign, Em. It's for us." Us. Like there was an us left after what they'd done. I glanced at the papers again, my mind racing. If I signed, I'd lose everything. If I refused, they'd know I was onto them. "I'm not feeling great," I said, pressing a hand to my temple. "Maybe we can talk tomorrow?" Evelyn's eyes narrowed, but Sarah jumped in. "Let her rest, Evelyn. She's had a long day." Evelyn's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Tomorrow then. Don't let this slip away, Emma. I slipped through the crowd, my heart pounding. Margaret's laughter rang out, her guests fawning over her handbag. Crystal glasses gleamed, every detail of this party funded by my stolen money. I reached my car, my breath uneven, and called Rachel. They tried to get me to sign a power of attorney, I said, my voice low. They're pushing hard. Rachel's tone was calm, but urgent. You didn't sign, right? I shook my head, even though she couldn't see. No, but they're getting aggressive. Talking about deadlines, acting like I owe them. Rachel exhaled. They're planning something big, Emma. The good news? We've got enough to move forward. The bad news? We need to act fast. I looked back at the estate, the lights blazing like nothing was wrong. Sarah stood by the window, scanning the driveway, probably looking for me. What's next? I asked. Rachel's voice was firm. Come to my office tomorrow morning. Bring every document, every recording. And Emma, don't go home tonight. If they sense you're pulling away, things could get messy. I started the car, my hands steady despite the chaos in my chest. The party glowed in my rearview mirror, a facade of wealth built on my name. Margaret's handbag, Evelyn's charts, Sarah's plea. They thought they had me trapped. They were wrong. I knew exactly where I was going. Chloe's guest room was waiting, a safe haven to plan my next move. The Daniels family thought they could play me like a pawn. Let them try. I was done being their bank, and they were about to find out how much that mistake would cost. The smell of grilled steak filled our Chicago kitchen, but my hands weren't cooking dinner out of love tonight. They were steady, deliberate, plating Sarah's favorite meal like a chess move. The divorce papers sat in my purse, heavy as a brick, next to my phone with its recording app primed. Sarah could walk through the door any second, and this time, I wouldn't swallow my questions. My phone had been buzzing all day, Margaret demanding I sign the investment papers, Evelyn pushing for a wire transfer, Sarah texting about making her mom happy. I silenced it all. Tonight, I was done playing their game. The front door clicked open. Smells amazing, Sarah called, her voice light, like nothing was wrong. She kicked off her shoes, her designer blazer slung over her arm. You're spoiling me, Em. I set the steak and mashed potatoes on the table, my smile tight. We need to talk. She loosened her tie, sitting down with a curious tilt of her head. About Evelyn's deal? I know it's a lot, but... No, I pulled the envelope from my purse and slid it across the table. About this. Her fork froze midair as she read the words, petition for divorce. Her face shifted confusion, then anger, then something calculated, like she was already rewriting the story. What's going on? Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. Her voice was soft, the one she used when we first fell in love, but it didn't reach me anymore. Fix it? I laughed, sharp and bitter, and pushed a stack of credit reports toward her. Explain these. Forged signatures. Stolen cards. Loans I never took out. Her eyes darted over the pages, her fingers tightening on the table. Okay, yeah, I might have splurged a little, she said, her tone defensive. But it was for us, for the family. You know how tough things have been for Mom and Evelyn. Family? I stood, my voice rising. You mean Margaret's shopping sprees? Evelyn's fake investments? I found their old scams, Sarah. Did you really think they wouldn't pull the same trick on me? I slid another folder across, printouts of news articles I'd dug up, Evelyn's shady real estate deals from a decade ago, Margaret's name tied to a fraud case that never stuck. Sarah's face darkened, her jaw set. You've been digging. Acting like I'm the bad guy here. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back, my skin crawling. Please, we can work this out. I'll pay it all back. I scoffed. With what? The money you stole from me. Her phone buzzed, Evelyn's name flashing on the screen. Don't answer, I warned, but she grabbed it, her voice low. Evelyn, now's not good. No, she hasn't signed. I know, I heard Evelyn's voice, loud and sharp, cutting through. Sarah's eyes met mine, panicked. "She knows," she said into the phone. More yelling, then Sarah's tone shifted, cold. "I'll handle it. Handle it." The words sent a chill down my spine. She hung up, her expression unreadable. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked as I grabbed my purse. Her voice wasn't soft, Anna Maria, it was hard, like a stranger's. I stepped toward the door, my heart pounding. "Stay away from me." She moved to block me, her hand on the frame. "You can't do this, Emma. You're ruining everything, our marriage, my family." Ruining? I held up my phone, the recording app glowing. "I've got it all, Sarah. Yesterday's lunch, the party, this conversation. You and your family bragging about stealing my life." Her eyes widened, her hand reaching for the phone. "Delete it. Now." I dodged, thanking Chloe for those self-defense classes she dragged me to last year. "Don't make this worse," I said, backing toward the door. "Worse?" She laughed, a hollow sound. "You're the one destroying us. My family's reputation, our future. You did that." I shook my head, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. "Every forged signature, every stolen dollar, every lie you told, that's what destroyed us." My phone buzzed, a text from Rachel, "FBI's ready. Meet me tonight." I looked at Sarah one last time. "I'm leaving. Don't follow me. You'll regret this," she called as I stepped outside. "No one will believe you. We're respected, Emma. You're just a nobody trying to stir up trouble." I turned back, the night air cool against my skin. "Check your email. The FBI's already on it." Her face went pale, her mouth open, but no words came. I got in my car, my hands shaking as I started the engine. Through the window, I saw her silhouette, still standing in the doorway, like she could will me back. I drove straight to Chloe's apartment, the city lights blurring past. My phone lit up with texts: Sarah begging me to come home, Margaret calling me ungrateful, Evelyn demanding a meeting. I blocked them all. Chloe was waiting, a glass of wine in hand, her guest room ready. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft but firm. I sank onto her couch, the divorce papers still in my purse. "I will be," I said, and for a moment I believed it. Rachel's number flashed on my phone. "Emma, we've got enough to move." The recordings, the documents, the Instagram posts, it's a slam dunk. "Come to my office tonight. We'll start the paperwork with the FBI." I nodded, even though she couldn't see. "I'm ready." Chloe squeezed my hand. "This is it, Em. No turning back." I touched the bare spot on my ring finger where my wedding band used to sit. They'd ended our marriage the moment they stole my name. Now I was ending their game. Outside, the Chicago skyline glittered, indifferent to the storm brewing in my life. Sarah thought she could handle me. Margaret and Evelyn thought they owned me. They were wrong. Tomorrow, the FBI would step in. Tomorrow, I'd fight back. For now, I sipped Chloe's wine, letting the quiet settle. The Daniels family was about to learn that betrayal cuts both ways, and I was sharper than they ever imagined. Dawn broke over the Chicago suburbs, painting the Daniels estate in pale gold. I sat in my car, parked a block away, my coffee gone cold. 3 black SUVs rolled up to the mansion, their tires crunching on the gravel drive. Rachel had texted me the timing, suggesting I might want to see this the moment my nightmare ended. Federal agents opened the door. The command cut through the quiet morning, sharp and final. I leaned forward, my breath fogging the windshield. Evelyn appeared at the entrance, her silk robe pristine, her face annoyed. "What is this?" she demanded, but her voice faltered as badges flashed in her face. "We have a warrant," an agent said, "for multiple charges of fraud and identity theft." Margaret stepped out behind her, diamonds glinting even in the early light. "This is outrageous. Do you know who we are?" The agent's response was calm, unyielding. "Yes, ma'am. That's why we're here." Neighbors emerged, clutching coffee mugs, as agents swarmed the mansion. Margaret's protests grew shrill. Those are my personal belongings. You can't touch them. My phone buzzed. Chloe's voice was urgent. Turn on the news, Em. It's live. I switched to a local station on my phone. A news van had pulled up, cameras rolling as agents carried out boxes of documents, designer bags, and jewelry. A reporter's voice cut through. The Daniels family, prominent in Chicago's elite, faces allegations of a massive fraud scheme. I watched an agent hold up that silk scarf, the $12,000 spark that started it all. Margaret lunged for it, her voice cracking. That's mine. The agent stepped back. According to our evidence, it belongs to Emma Daniels. Margaret spun toward my car, her eyes wild. She's out there, isn't she? Emma, you little snake. My hands tightened on the wheel, but I didn't move. Let her scream. She'd lost. Sarah emerged last, head down, wrists cuffed. A reporter shoved a microphone toward her. Did you forge your wife's signature on credit applications? Sarah's eyes lifted, locking onto my car. Even from this distance, I saw the mix of anger and fear. My phone buzzed again. Rachel. We found everything, Emma. Fake documents, credit cards, receipts they kept like trophies. You nailed it. I exhaled, the weight in my chest loosening just a fraction. Evelyn broke free from an agent, stumbling toward my car. You think this is over, she shouted, her voice raw. We made you, Emma. You're nothing without us. Two agents grabbed her, guiding her back to the lawn. I rolled down my window, my voice clear. Actually, I'm everything without you. Cameras swiveled toward me, reporters surging forward, but I pulled away. The mansion shrank in my rearview mirror, its perfect facade crumbling. My phone kept buzzing. News alerts flooded in. Chicago elite family caught in fraud scandal. Daniels' financial empire collapses. Identity theft allegations rock suburbs. I drove to Chloe's office, where she waited with a steaming coffee and a grin. They found offshore accounts, she said as I sat down. Millions hidden. Your case blew open a dozen other scams they pulled. I sank into her couch, suddenly exhausted. How long will they be gone? With these charges? Chloe's eyes gleamed. Years. Plus full restitution to you and the other victims. My phone rang. Mia, my cousin. Just saw the news. That scarf. No wonder Margaret bragged about her generous daughter-in-law. Then Rachel called. Sarah's trying to cut a deal. Wants to testify against Margaret and Evelyn. I snorted. Of course she is. Always saving herself. Chloe scrolled through her phone, smirking. Check their social media. Those lavish posts? The comments are savage now. Everyone knows it's stolen money. Another text came from an unknown number. You'll pay for this. Family protects family. I showed it to Chloe, who dialed Rachel immediately. Let them threaten, she said after hanging up. Every text just adds to their charges. I stared out her office window, the Chicago skyline steady against the morning light. Somewhere, the Daniels family was being processed designer clothes swapped for jumpsuits, their mansion torn apart room by room. You okay? Chloe asked, her voice gentle. I touched my bare ring finger, the skin smooth where my ring used to be. I'd believed in fairy tales once: love, family, trust. That girl was gone, replaced by someone stronger. I will be, I said, meaning it. The FBI had their evidence, the news had their story, and I had my life back. Almost. I thought about my dad, his weathered hands teaching me to save, to fight for what's mine. He'd be proud, I knew it. The Daniels family thought they could bury me under their lies, but they'd underestimated me. Justice wasn't just Kaminja, it was here, in handcuffs and headlines. Margaret's scarf, Evelyn's accounts, Sarah's betrayal. They'd built their empire on my name, and now it was burning. I stood, grabbing my coffee. What's next? Chloe's smile was fierce. We head to Rachel's office. The FBI needs your signature on some final documents. Outside, storm clouds gathered, the air heavy with promise. The Daniels family was learning what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. Their time was up, and mine was just beginning. I wasn't their pawn anymore. I was their reckoning. The Chicago courtroom was hushed, the air thick with anticipation. I sat between Chloe and Rachel, my hands clasped tightly in my lap, the wood of the bench cool under my fingers. The judge cleared his throat, his voice steady. On the federal fraud charges, this court finds the defendants guilty on all counts. Margaret's polished facade cracked, her shoulders slumping in her tailored blazer, mascara streaking her cheeks. Evelyn stared ahead, her face ashen, hands gripping the table. Sarah glanced back at me, her eyes pleading, but I kept my gaze forward, unyielding. The judge continued. Defendant Sarah, due to her cooperation, will serve 5 years. Margaret and Evelyn Daniels will each serve 12 years, with mandatory restitution to all victims. My breath escaped, a quiet release of months of tension. The court orders immediate liquidation of all assets to repay the victims of this extensive fraud scheme. Murmurs rippled through the room, but I stayed still, letting the words settle. Justice wasn't just a word anymore. It was real. Outside, reporters swarmed, their cameras flashing like lightning. Rachel shielded me as we pushed through. Emma. Margaret's voice cut through the chaos, raw and desperate, as officers led her to a transport van. We're still family. You can't let them do this. I stopped, turning to face her, the crowd parting. Family doesn't steal from family, I said, my voice clear, carrying over the noise. You took everything. Now you pay. Chloe squeezed my arm, guiding me away as Margaret's protests faded. We drove to my old house, the one I'd shared with Sarah. A sold sign stood in the yard, stark against the trimmed lawn. Liquidation starts here, Chloe said. Parking. The money will help repay what they stole. My phone buzzed with a news alert. The Daniels estate had been seized. Luxury items, handbags, jewelry. That infamous scarf headed for auction. I scrolled through photos of Margaret's collection, each piece a memory of my stolen money. Ironic, I said, my voice soft. They committed fraud to keep their lifestyle. Now it's all gone. Rachel pulled up, her SUV gleaming in the sunlight. One more stop, she said. We drove downtown, stopping at a modest office building. A new sign was being installed, Freedom Financial Counseling. I blinked, confused. What's this? Chloe's grin was wide. Your new office, That business plan you showed me helping scam victims rebuild? You've got enough restitution money to start. I stared at the sign, my dream taking shape in bold letters. Rachel added, we've got clients already. Other Daniels victims, ready for your help. My phone rang. Mia's voice was bright. You're trending. Justice served, girl. That scarf started it all. I opened social media, thousands of messages flooding in. You gave me courage to fight. Your story exposed my husband's fraud. Thank you for standing up. I swallowed hard, the weight of their words grounding me. A woman approached, hesitant, her face lined with worry. I saw you at the courthouse. My wife's doing what Sarah did to you. Can you help? I looked into her eyes, seeing the same fear I'd felt months ago, before Chloe and Rachel stepped in. Come inside, I said, unlocking the office door. Let's talk. That night, I sat at my new desk, the space still bare but brimming with possibility. 2 framed items sat before me, my final divorce decree, a clean break from Sarah, and the first dollar I'd earned from a client, a symbol of my new path. Chloe had insisted on framing it, her way of saying I'd earned this. A knock came, and Rachel stood in the doorway, holding a coffee. Figured you'd need this on your big day. I took the cup, her hand brushing mine, lingering just a moment. You did the hard work, she said, her eyes warm. I just handled the paperwork. I met her gaze, a quiet spark passing between us. I couldn't have done it without you. She smiled, nodding. Dinner tomorrow? No case files, just us. I laughed, The sound light. I'd like that. My phone buzzed, an email from the prison. Dear Emma, I'm sorry. I know it's too late. Sarah's name glared from the screen. I deleted it without reading further. Some apologies don't get a second chance. I opened my laptop, the cursor blinking on a blank page. Welcome to Freedom Financial Counseling, I typed. If you're reading this, you're not alone. Your story matters. Your future matters. Together, we'll rebuild what was taken. I leaned back, the city's skyline visible through my window, its lights steady against the night. I'd lost a marriage, a name, a fairy tale I'd once believed in. But I'd found something better: purpose. The Daniels family thought they could break me, but they'd built me instead. Margaret's diamonds, Evelyn's lies, Sarah's betrayal, they were locked away now, learning that karma doesn't wear a designer label. Sometimes it comes in a badge, a gavel, a woman who refuses to stay silent. I touched my bare ring finger, the skin smooth, no longer bound. The office was quiet, but it wouldn't stay that way. Empty chairs waited for clients, bare walls for success stories. There were lives to rebuild, truths to uncover, justice to serve. My dad's voice echoed in my mind, his lessons about money and trust now my guide. You're stronger than you know, Emma, he'd said. He was right. I closed my laptop, the screen fading to black. The fight wasn't over. There'd be more victims, more stories, but I was ready. This wasn't just a new beginning. It was my beginning on my terms. And somewhere in a cold cell, the Daniels family learned what happens when you underestimate a woman with nothing left to lose.